I thought we'd go old school tonight. Um, we're going to be looking at not only a certain historical game I really like, but this is actually a very special game for me because this is actually the first Call of Duty I ever played back in the day. It's from 2004. It's called Call of Duty Finest Hour. It's more or less, roughly speaking, a console remake of the original Call of Duty game, but with some significant changes. And keep in mind though, since this is a 2004 game, we may not have quite the prettiest of graphics compared to, say, Battlefield 1 the other night. But it's a game that I still have a lot of nostalgia for. And to its credit, it actually was a big reason why I ended up becoming interested in learning about World War II. Which, as you're going to see, is kind of ironic because, well, we don't start out in this game as an American soldier. Let's just say for tonight's stream, might want to have the vodka ready. Okay, comrade? But first things first, let's pop it in, shall we? And yes, pants. Okay. Now let's switch over to the game screen. Here we go. And you know, after all these years, the opening to this game still gives me the feels. It is nice and epic, and genuinely, it has an appropriately melodramatic feel to it, which definitely is appropriate for World War II. I mean, you just can't overestimate just how important that war was. But enough of the serious talk, let's... especially got me a little choked up in terms of the whole war that because I've learned about so many wars throughout history. Very rarely do you have a war like this where there was a true evil that had to be fought. But enough of that. Let's get things ready. Yep, choosing dock. Let's... Well, it has been a while since I played this, so forgive me while I reorientate myself about it. Okay. Hello there, Otter. I see you wanted to join the fight, soldier. Good on you, man. So, yeah, like I was saying just now, Otter, tonight we're going to be just doing something a little more old school. It's Call of Duty Finest Hour. It's from 2004, and it's actually the very... and it's actually the very first Call of Duty I ever played back in the day. And it also has a special place in me as a history buff. No joke, this is the game that got me interested in learning about World War II. Which is going to be a little ironic pretty soon when we start it, because you don't start out in a campaign as an American soldier. But first of all, I'm sorry, but since it has been a while since I played this, and I do want to show as much of the game as I can, I'm gonna go easy on myself. I mean, this is more of a showcase stream, not a get angry and throw stuff around stream. That might happen, though. I mean, there are parts of this game that are a bit tricky. But yes, single player, not one step back. But before we begin with this part, Otter, just want to ask, do you have any vodka ready, comrade? You may need it. See, and I appreciate that, Otter. I mean, okay. Okay, now, quiet everyone. Important history stuff about set up the first mission.
Europe. 1940. Hitler's ruthless quest to extend Germany's borders has his people at war with the world. The mobilization of armies by Britain and France proves no deterrent as the Nazis invade their European neighbors to the north and west, while extending their reach eastward towards Russia's critical oil fields. By fall, Germany's lightning war to soften England is launched, and America increases production, racing to aid the British. By 1941, the battle for North Africa is on, as Rommel's Africa Corps arrives in Tripoli. On the Eastern Front, an impatient Hitler breaks his pact with the Soviets. Stalin responds with a scorched earth policy, intent on leaving only ruins for the Nazi invaders. But one by one, his cities fall. Now, in 1942, massive German air raids commence against Stalingrad, and the battle for this noble city turns vicious. The Red Army refuses to retreat, and a counteroffensive is launched against a force that now stretches from the Volga to the Atlantic and deep into the African desert. Against impossible odds, millions come forward to answer the call of their countries, their families, their lives.
Oh, time to find out who I'm playing as here. Oh, come on, Xbox.
My name is Alexander Skolov. I thought I was safe. As a watchmaker's apprentice, I would learn the business, then open a shop of my own.
See why
Maybe get married, have children,
now?
start a life. But now our cities are under attack, and Stalingrad will put an end to those dreams. We should have known the Germans would turn on us, break the treaty. They have no honor. The commissars rounded us up so quickly, speaking of the motherland, the sacrifices of our brothers, our duty. I'm only 20, but I'm ready to fight to the death. The sight of my home Stalingrad infuriates me. It is as if hell itself were burning.
And that's no joke. Stalingrad actually was the bloodiest battle of the entire war. Little bit of a setup here. Well, first I'll ask, have you ever heard of this battle before, Otter? Hey, Haley! You arrived just in time. Yeah. But yeah, have you ever heard of this battle before, Otter? Stalingrad? Yeah, we got a nice party here. Well, I'm doing better. Yeah, I wasn't feeling too well the other day, and that's why I had to nix what was supposed to be my first Sunday stream, but I feel better now. Yeah, Barbarossa, that was 1941. This is actually during the summer and fall of 1942. This happened after Barbarossa and the Nazis almost capturing Moscow, but at the last minute they were pushed back. Well, I appreciate that, Hallie. But yeah, Stalingrad, basically, once the attempt to capture Moscow failed, Hitler and German High Command planned a new attack for 1942 where they didn't have enough strength to attack all across. Hide, Haley, quick! But yeah, 1942, the Germans decide, well, we don't have the strength to attack all across Russia the way we did in 1941. We took a heavy pounding in front of Moscow. So instead, they concentrated most of their offensive strength in southern Russia, aiming for the Caucasus region, which is where Russia's main oil source was. And in this region, and at the gateway to this region, was the city of Stalingrad, which is now known as Volgograd today. This city actually ended up being the farthest into Russia the Germans ever got in World War II. And this was a pretty desperate moment for the Soviet military and all that. Because, well, they had held off the Germans at Moscow, but they still were suffering from not being the most efficient military, and quite barbaric military too. But Stalingrad, at the time of this battle, well, since I live in Indiana, I have to equate it to, in terms of population, it was roughly the size of modern Indianapolis. It was a big industrial center on the Volga River, which was a main waterway in the Soviet Union. But interestingly, in the initial German attack plan, Stalingrad was not the main focus of attack. Originally, they were supposed to be going straight for the oil fields and maybe send a token force to make sure that the Soviets couldn't use Stalingrad as a base of counterattacking. But as events unfolded, very quickly the plan changed and the main attack became focused on Stalingrad, mainly because of its name, the fact that it was named after the Soviet dictator who led the country at the time, Joseph Stalin. And on the same side, on the Soviet side, it wasn't originally supposed to be like the linchpin of the defense in 1942, but once it became clear that's where the Germans were mainly going to attack, Stalin basically was like, okay, throw every man you have, the city must not fall. Of course, he was also quite brutal about it. He actually decreed that there would be no evacuation of the city because he was convinced that if the city were evacuated, the soldiers wouldn't fight to defend it. And obviously what we're about to see is a very sanitized version of the battle, but I do give it credit in that it does its best to highlight this battle. And this is set early on in the battle, during that first phase where the Germans are attacking the city, and really it's by tooth and nail that the Soviets are holding on to it. In fact, by this point, in late September, I believe only about half of the city was still in Soviet hands. Hope I'm not boring you guys already. I just thought I'd help set it up before I go in. But yeah. What we're about to see, this is the way a lot of units were sent in to defend Stalingrad, right across the Volga River, or quite often in rowboats. And, well, here we go, off to defend the motherland. Alright, comrades, here we go.
Welcome to Stalingrad. You're about to begin the greatest moment of your life. The Germans have lost hundreds of tanks and planes. Hitler's brutalized hordes are now advancing towards Stalingrad over mountains of their own dead bodies. Our Bolshevik party, our nation, our great country have given us the task not to let the enemy reach Volga and to defend the city of Stalingrad. Forward against the enemy! Up into the unlimited battle, comrades! For Stalingrad! Country, not one step back! Cowards and traitors will be shot! The lockdown days!
Like I said, the Soviet army was very brutal. By this point, like I told you, this is the farthest the Germans got into the Soviet Union. And at the point that this battle was about to begin, Stalin decreed a new military order that literally said, "We are not retreating beyond the Volga River or Stalingrad, and anyone who tries to retreat will be shot." It was pretty hardcore stuff. Stupid controller. There we go.
You! Over here!
Yeah, and that was something that was true in terms of the soldiers being sent to Stalingrad at this point early on in the battle. Supplies weren't abundant enough to arm every soldier, so instead there was the idea of there would be two-man teams. One would have a rifle, one would have extra ammunition, and when the person with the rifle died, then the second person would have the rifle and take over. I mean, yeah, how would you like that to be your introduction to battle? Going across the river, seeing a city like that, pretty much being told, "Oh, yep, that's where you're going."
Alright, comrade, you're with me. Pay attention and follow my orders. I will shoot you myself.
Well, when you put it like that.
Now quickly, we're expected at the front lines.
Like I said, going into a hard war.
The fascists have reached the bar, and they're about to crush Stalingrad in half. We must stop the road forward.
Okay. You guys can hear the game alright, can you? Right? I only ask because I have to, unfortunately, headphones I can't really plug into either the computer or the TV because the damn cord's too short. So I have to have the TV volume on a little bit so I can hear what's going on. But I just want to double check that everyone can hear it fine. Oh, it is? Okay.
Stay close to me.
Okay, let's see if I can fix that. Here. Okay, I guess I'll have to do it here. Alright, so Okay, is that better, guys? Can you hear me better now? Or is it still too loud? Okay, good. Alright, so... Alright, this way. Go this way. Okay, that's good. Yes, move! Okay. Well, I hope you enjoy your dinner. Or Hallie. Or Haley. I'm going to get that right someday. And I know you picked all both. Oh, good. Oh yeah, and this battle was, for lack of a better word, a meat grinder in terms of both sides. Oh yeah, well, again, graphics-wise it's a little dated, but the sound isn't that bad. Ah!
The fascists are here in the refinery. We need to flush them out before we get to the park. Follow my lead. Wait here.
Oh. Okay. До свидания, motherfucker. Haha. Charge! До свидания! You're going to flight. There we go. Oh. Aha! But yeah, quick little pause here. But yeah, like I said, this battle was a meat grinder. To give you an idea of what it was like to be a Soviet soldier in Stalingrad, there was one of the divisions that was sent in to defend Stalingrad, numbered about 13,000 men at the time of the battle, and no joke, when the battle was over months later, only about 750 of them survived. That's the type of battle this was. Whew. Ah. Indeed. Yeah, I'm with you, Sergeant. I don't think that's a good idea, just charging straight across there. Here we go. Yep. Yeah, you're welcome. Saved your guys' asses. And you thought you could just blindly charge against the machine gun. Oh, yes, indeed.
But first we need to flush the Germans out of this building.
Okay. Last.
Signal to go.
Come on. Snap it. Is it? Snap it. Snap it controls. Oh, come on. There we go. Control was fighting me again. Lovely. Okay. Be very, very quiet. Oh, you shitter. Oh, but yeah, indeed, Otter. They were basically super soldiers, in terms of their toughness. And what we see here, this was a lot of what Stalingrad was for the first half of the battle. Bitter street-by-street fighting, where you could have a single building change hands dozens of times. And of course, what didn't help the Germans was that before they... Yeah, I hear you, Sergeant. Hold on, I'm trying to teach chat here. Just before the Germans actually attacked the city, they made the decision to do a massive bombing with the Luftwaffe of the city, which as an extra bit of barbarity, in order to ensure that at the soldiers of the Red Army would fight for Stalingrad, Stalin refused to let the city be evacuated of civilians. So yeah, that was not very good. And what, in addition to the cruelty on both sides there, the bombing of the city actually proved to be a mistake for the Germans because turning the city into rubble actually made it a perfect spot for somebody trying to defend a city because it's easier to hide in rubble. Oh, especially if you're like a sniper or something, than it is buildings that are still standing, because if a building's already knocked down, you can't really do much to destroy it. Yeah, hold on a second, checking on something here. Okay. 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 До свидания again. Oh yeah, I mean, and it was easily the worst army to serve in World War II. It was an army where there was literally no consideration for the average soldier because, well, Soviet High Command was knew that they had far more manpower than the German army, and so they coldly were like, we can just throw waves of soldiers at him, and if it results in massive casualties, that doesn't bother us because we still have more soldiers to pull from. Yeah. I mean, you can't really put into words what the fighting in Eastern Europe was like. I mean, it was a whole different ball game from the fighting you saw in Western Europe. But it was where the war turned against Nazi Germany. Ah! Running up. Running low on ammo. There we go. Ah. Oh, God. Okay. Come on! Come on! Come at me! Come at me, bro! Now, I understand if Cosmo's busy tonight. I totally understand that. She has a very packed week. But I know that if she does come in a little later, especially right after this level, I think she'd dig Tanya here. Because, getting graphics aside, she's kind of cute. Indeed, comrade. Reload. On this hill that we're attacking here, this was Mama of Kurgan. It still exists today in modern Volgograd, and you can't miss it. It is a massive hill, well, overlooking the entire city. Hence why it was a real focal point of fighting during the battle. It was one of the most fought over places during the battle, actually. Very much because if you had possession of this hill, you could either prevent the Germans from firing down on the main ferry main ferry port in Stalingrad, which is where the majority. Oh, I do appreciate that, Haley, but I don't want to make you feel like you have to come in if you have other commitments. I mean, I don't want to be that type of streamer. Or I mean, I'll joke about the whole hey, get in here and all that, but I don't want to be the whole sort of like, hey, where are you and all that. Yeah. Oh yeah, getting ready for school. Oh, I remember those days. Such fun. But I do appreciate it. But I do appreciate the love, Haley. I really do. Oh yes, hearing about vicious World War II battles, such relaxing topic. Such a relaxing topic. But hey, what you gonna do? But yeah, so this hill, possession of it was critical for defending the city or capturing it. If the Germans held on to the city, they actually could directly attack it with artillery and such from. Or they could. Sorry, need to focus my thoughts here. If the Germans held on to the Mamayev Kurgan, they could rain direct artillery fire down on the main docks and ferry in Stalingrad, which is where the really substantial reinforcements to the city would have been coming in, especially the equipment that you couldn't bring in on rowboats, like artillery, massive quantities of supplies, that sort of thing. Which is why the Russians were so determined, or Russians, I shouldn't say Russians, I should say Soviets, because the Soviet army wasn't just comprised of Russians. I mean, lest we forget, a lot of countries in Eastern Europe and Central Asia were once part of the Soviet Union. But anyway, the Soviets therefore wanted to hold on to Mamayev Kurgan, because if they held on to it, then they could have a better chance of holding the city by providing some semblance of relief to the main area that they would be reinforcing the city and resupplying it from. Plus, with it being a high point of ground, it would also help them to better push back German attacks in the city. And yeah, today on that hill is a massive statue, like even bigger than the Statue of Liberty. That's how big it is. It's a statue dedicated to the battle and all that. Of course, since it's from the Soviet era, it's also a very glory to the state sort of statue. It's not so much a statue about those who fell during the battle as much as, oh, the glory of us defending the city. But what you gonna do? Totalitarian and regimes, am I right? But anyway, back to this. You don't. Come on. Shit. Maybe I shouldn't have charged out like that. Ah. Okay. Well, like Tanya said, we need to clear out all of the machine gun nests before we can actually seize the top of the hill. Okay. There we go. Come on! Come on, bro. Come at me. Well, and I apologize for the very cliched Russian accent. I mean, what can I say? I mean, plus it fits. Ah. Okay. Well, I try, you know. I try. Let you out. Okay. We got that clear box down. And yeah, the music is a little repetitive, but it does have a nice little epic feel to it. Right. Well, this should give you an idea of just how unprepared the Soviets were for the German invasion when it first started. This rifle I'm using, which was the main Soviet rifle throughout most of the war, it was a bolt-action rifle that dated back to the early 1890s, and it really hadn't changed much since then. Ah, there we go. There's some firepower in here. But something tells me I'll need that at a little later in this level. Haha. There we go. Well, and this I'm using right here was the main German submachine gun of the war, the MP-40, which technically was a slightly modified version of the MP-38, but they were practically the same type of machine gun. 9mm. Made of stamped metal parts, one of the first submachine guns to be made in such a way. And it was known to be quite the reliable weapon. In fact, a lot of American soldiers tended to use captured ones on the Western, well, I say Western Front, but that's World War I. In the Western European campaign, a lot of American soldiers like to use captured MP-44s because they found that it handled a little better than the Tommy gun, which makes sense. I mean, the Tommy gun was a heavy-hitting weapon, but it was also a weapon that was designed during the end days of World War I. And when you keep... Okay, I'm running out of submachine gun ammo. Okay, fine, I'll switch to the Mauser. And honestly, you gotta love the animations they have here. Like, oh! Okay, come on now! Where do we go? And I know you guys, you're probably going, aw, how quaint in terms of the way this game looks. But you know what? If a game's still fun to play, graphics aren't necessarily the be-all, end-all. I mean, there's a reason why people still love to play their N64 games and all that. Even though by today's standards they do look a little primitive. Okay, let's switch weapons here. Someone tells me I'm going to need this big machine gun here, because this is the main bunker. No telling how many Nazis are going to be in there. Svidania! Oh, I think what you may have fired there, Otter, that might have been, I forget the name of it also, but it was like a big anti-tank rifle that they created early on in the war. Because early on, they were mostly thinking around the terms of the way tanks were at the start of World War II in terms of armor. And so they had anti-tank rifles made, which were big, heavy things with bipods and all that. That might have been what you fired. But yeah, those things were quite cumbersome. And really, it didn't take long into the war for them to become obsolete, because by the time of the invasion of France in 1940, as early as that, they found that these anti-tank rifles were losing their effectiveness because a lot of the British tanks they fought against in France, and the anti-tank rifle rounds would just ping right off them. Was practically like just throwing a bullet at a tank. And if that... Oh yeah. Oh yeah, those things did have quite a kick to them. That's why you had to be more or less prone on the ground firing them. But yeah. but yeah, it didn't take pretty much by the time they entered the Soviet Union and came across Soviet tanks, especially like the T-34, they were like, okay, these anti-tank rifles are pretty much useless. And that's when they started to go, okay, what do we do now in terms of anti-tank weapons? But then, fortuitously, when we entered the... oh, I can only imagine. Yeah. But yeah, so they were in a quandary. What do we do in terms of anti-tank weapons? Oh yeah. I can... Oh, your poor shoulder, indeed. That's making me feel like I pulled this again. Which I have done a couple times. Oof. But yeah, so they were in a quandary. Well, what are we going to do in terms of anti-tank weapons? Because these rifles are pretty useless now. But then fortuitously, when we entered the war, and actually, fun fact, the first place we fought German soldiers in World War II was North Africa, of all places. No, seriously, it was Tunisia, to be exact. And the Germans happened to capture a few of our bazookas, and while our bazookas didn't have the hitting power that we thought they would, they liked the concept of the bazookas, so they basically took captured bazookas, reverse engineered them to find out how they worked, and went, okay, instead of a small little 60mm rocket round, we'll make it a big hefty 88mm round, which can actually do some damage against the tank. And that developed into the Panzerschreck. And of course, that we're getting ahead of ourselves here. They really didn't have those quite yet at Stalingrad. Back to mowing down the enemy. Let's Vidania! Shoot! Reload! We are victorious! Victory, comrades! Here we go. Yeah, take that shit out of there. We don't want none of that shit. But the battle's not over yet. Now we switch over to Tanya. Oh, sad story time, guys. I want to bring the hanky out.
My name is Tanya Pavlovna. We had no idea the Nazi invasion had pushed as far as our village until the night we awoke to the sound of tank tracks flying in the distance. Tank shells sent my neighbor scurrying for cover, and in the chaos I was separated from my parents. The next day I was rescued by soldiers with the Red Army. I was 25. During my first skirmish, our squad was cut down, and I escaped into a collapsed building, where I took a sniper rifle off the body of a fallen comrade. My father's voice guided my aim as I cut down my first 4 Germans with that rifle. My skills was reported to HQ, and I was assigned as a sniper and sent to Stalingrad. I've been hunting Germans ever since. They took my family and my home, and I intend to take their lives.
Oh, and no joke, this character here is loosely based on a real female sniper with the Red Army who served in Stalingrad, and her name was also Tanya.
An explosion. We need something to cover the sound of the rifle.
Smart.
And if I shoot enough of these Germans, they'll send a tank to come looking for us. Then we'll need to cover our sacker on the street so he can place a landmine in its path. This is it. Always try to shoot the officers first. Let's relocate.
Yep. Oh, stop fighting me, controller. Ooh, right in the belly. Ugh. Oh. And I do like that bit of detail there that you see. I do like that bit of detail there that you see the tank soldiers are dressed in black as opposed to these infantry soldiers in gray uniforms, because that was factual. Oh, Panzer crews were almost always dressed in black. Oh. The cojones on that guy, huh? Oh dear. Okay, comrade. I hear you. Wherever you are. Oh, there you are. Wait, hold on. Let me see if there's anything I need to grab before we go. Yep. Extra ammo is nice. Yes, I see you, comrade. Oh dear. Oh, they took out the tank. Lovely. And yeah, you heard right, we're about to get a little stinky in here. At least you can't smell it, since this is a game. Ugh. Yep. Sewer. Ooh. Got some grenades now. That could be useful. Oh yeah, and yes, the fighting even did extend out to the sewers in Stalingrad. In fact, the fighting in the ruins of the sewer system was of such intensity that the Germans started to refer to it as Rattenkrieg, meaning War of the Rats. Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to save some ammo for my sniper rifle, because something tells me I'm going to need it a little later. Indeed, comrade. Oh, took 2 shots to take that guy down. Damn. Ooh. Officer. Haha. Well, you can definitely tell this is early COD, not only graphic-wise, but also in that, well, it is a T-rated game, but as you've noticed, it's a little clean in the violence. And it actually wasn't a technology limitation, and as far as I know, it more had to deal with, from what I understand, how for a while, shooter games that weren't M-rated but were T-rated tried to sidestep showing blood as much as possible because there had been a lot of pushback in the 90s against video game violence. Yeah, that shit's been around a while. Okay. Damn it. Okay, I see you. Come on! Come on, you motherfucker! Oh, wait, I forgot I'm being Tanya. I shouldn't be so deep in the voice. Come on, motherfucker. Come on, motherfucker. Come at me, bro. Come on. До свидания. Yep. Yeah. And again, knowing Cosmo, if she does ever see this stream at some point and gets to the part where you're playing as Tanya, I know that she'll probably be like, oh, she's kind of cute. Granted, she's not wrong. Of course, there were some differences. The real Tanya that this character's based on, some minor differences. The real Tanya had a different last name, and she was blonde, not brunette, but oh well. Just little details like that. And the real Tanya, I forget her last name off the top of my head. I need to look that up again, but she was someone who understandably, because she did lose, I believe that is true, that the real Tanya did lose her whole immediate family in the invasion of the Soviet Union, so she had absolutely no remorse for German soldiers. In fact, she didn't like to see them as human. She, to the day she died, years after the war, referred to the German soldiers she killed as a sniper as merely sticks she broke. Granted, when you're facing an invasion like that of the Nazis invading the Soviet Union with all the brutality there, it would be understandable to have a very desensitized view of your enemy, especially given the enemy is not only trying to conquer you, but basically trying to wipe you off the face of the earth. This. Haha. That's probably one of my favorite dead German animations where he just goes like, ah! I mean, it may sound a little morbid to say, but with the simplicity of the animation here. It does kind of look like, as he's standing, he just is going, fuck it, and throwing the rifle in the air. Oh, you! Yeah, pretty much, Otter. But then again, I also like the one where if it's a soldier that's running at you and you get them, sometimes they literally like fall backward like they got punched really hard. Oh, how dare you! Haha, there we go. Do we continue this way, or do we flank around here? Ha! Oh! Ooh, you sneaky, sneaky guy. You sneaky little shit, pretending you were dead by going prone. Oh, shit. Well, I seem to have plenty of health to spare. Where was that guy who needed health? Oh, guess you guys don't need health yet. Okay. Oh. Ooh, you sneaky, sneaky fuck. Okay. Oh. Oh, I see. Ladies first, huh? I see how it is. Oh, daylight. No time for that now. Oh yeah, I just realized I haven't used many grenades yet. I want to try that now. Okay, I overshot that one. Oh, pfft. Oop. Oops, sorry, comrade. Oh. Okay. Ha. Okay, here we go. Ah! You can't stop me! Damn! Okay. Alright, fine. I guess I'll use this Soviet submachine gun here. At least not one knot in all. Yeah, this machine gun, it was the Papasha, is what it was nicknamed. And as you can see, it kind of looks like a Tommy gun. It wasn't as rugged as a Tommy gun, though. It actually was very cheaply made, and it tended to jam a lot. But the Soviets were able to produce them in large quantities. Is there anything down there I want? Nope. Okay. Oh. Okay. Yep. Okay, here we go. We're going into the factory now. And by the factory, what they actually mean is the tractor factory, which was in the northern part of the city. And this was another area that was very central in the battle because, as the name implies, it was a factory initially built to make tractors. But when the war kicked off, it very quickly was turned over into being a tank factory. And no joke. Oh, they were... stupid controller. Stop it. And no joke, they were making tanks in that factory while the battle was going on. In fact, as we're going to see here, they were making tanks and sending them out to fight the Germans right as the Germans were trying to attack the factory, and they attacked the factory many times. Now, of course, under those conditions, that meant the tanks weren't really built as well as they should have been, because the priority was get them built as quickly as possible so we can send them to basically wear down the Germans. Indeed, I'm keeping my head down. Yep, there it is, the tractor factory. See, that's the submachine gun I have. It looks like a Tommy gun, but it's not a Tommy gun. And that's not an exaggeration for the game. These things did have 71 drum magazines. And really that's because they really had very pitiful pistol-sized rounds. Rounds that were maybe about like that big. But it was more about just how much lead they could throw out. Yes, I hear you. Germans are coming. I think I still have my rifle.
We need this sniper right now. Germans are preparing another assault on the factory.
Ooh. Indeed. Okay, now we're gonna have some excitement here. Hey, who told you you could dodge? There we go. Oh, where is it? There it is. Now, that is a slight bit of poetic license there that they're showing Panzerschreck rocket. It guys, because I don't think the Panzerschreck was deployed yet in battle. 9 more minutes. Can we hold on? Oh great, now they're trying to bring machine guns here, huh? Oh no, you don't. I see it. There you are. Carrying the actual gun part. Oh, coming from the right. Hurry! Nice try. There we go. Now, is there anyone trying to sneak up over here? Aha! I see them. Just imagine how stressful this would have been IRL. Like I was saying earlier, or was alluding to earlier, this actually became a very sniper-centric battle since a lot of the city ended up, well, not a lot of the city, practically the whole city was destroyed in the fight. But a city that's just rubble is actually a perfect place to have snipers. Gives them a lot more places to hide than you would expect. Ooh. Yeah, I hear ya, and I know. I should have stopped him from putting up that one machine gun. There's one thing, though, about the slight datedness of this game I do appreciate in parts like this. Guys, I don't know if you're noticing, none of these German soldiers are thinking to pick up the discarded rockets that people have dropped. Oh, no, you don't. You are not going to go boom on us. Haha! Come on, here we go! Oh, you! Forgot there was the machine gun there. Oops. Yeah, there's one coming this way. Okay. Yes, I hear you. Oh yeah, they do. Honestly, to be honest, in terms of the World War II specific ones, I do prefer some of these older ones, because in these older ones, they did, to their credit, try a lot harder to actually follow actual history. Whereas now, you're rare to find one that really is made by people who give a shit. I mean, I don't know if you ever played Call of Duty World War II from a few years back. That was such a crushing disappointment for me. Because I've wanted World War II to come back in these type of games. But at the same time, I know that if they did come back now, they would try to force in things like pay-to-win mechanics and stuff like that, since Activision's basically become a haven for that sort of thing. Oh, how dare you! Okay, 2 minutes remaining. We can do this. Huh. I love those little hinky glitches too, like the guy perpetually running into the car there. Ooh, I see ya. Trying to set the machine gun. I see ya. Ooh. Okay, one more minute. We can do this. Yeah. No shit. Of course, Otter, there are some other OG COD games that put this to shame in terms of really pushing in terms of, hold the line! Wait, tank? Where? I don't see no tank. Shit! There it is! Everyone get to lower the levels! Okay, tank crews arrived. Okay. Aha! Oh no, you don't. We're gonna have our tank and you will accept it. Damn. Come on! Okay. There you go. No problem, comrade. Okay. Aha! And like I said, this factory in real life really was building tanks as the battle was going on and sending them right into the battle. Sadly, this is the last level we play as Tanya. We'll see her a couple more times, but now we need someone else to play as.
My name is Nikolai Badanov. The day after the Germans attacked the Soviet Union, I left my wife and newborn son in the care of my parents and joined the Red Army. Having been a mechanic in Leningrad for years, it was no surprise I was assigned to the 24th Tank Corps. I live for the day we grind their limb beneath our tracks. Perhaps it is this aggressiveness that won me my own tank crew and assignment in Stalingrad. While my crew and I are like family, there's another comrade who I'll be tied to forever. Her name is Tanya Pavlovna. She saved our skins as we escaped in the last surviving T-34 after the assault on the factory in the
Well, she may or may not get one before she knows it.
The smoke was giving away our position. So we found what looked to be a safe place to make repairs.
Oh yeah, active war zone. Most vicious battle of the war seen yet. Sure, this will be a quiet spot to fix a tank. Surely no one will bother us.
Engine trouble? Tanya, you and Alexander face on high ground and watch for the enemy. We'll do what we can to provide. And Fyodor, let's get that tank fixed now. Yes, sir.
What's gonna happen here? Shit! Ah! Homeworks! Stop fighting me, controller! Damn you! Come on. Stop fighting me. Come on. Come on. There we go. Whew. Yeah, this controller's a little annoying, but what can you do? Oh, no you don't. And yeah, your eyes aren't deceiving you. That is a real machine gun that the Soviets had. Run! Damn you! Oh no! Tank! No! Tanya, don't! Tanya! Oh. Now, maybe Tanya's alright. I mean, I played this game before, so I know what the situation is, but Maybe she is alright, you never know. Yes! Aha! Maybe some T-34 action here. Oh, how dare you! Well, and of course that is part of the charm of these earlier World War II games. I mean, yes, it's a little inaccurate that it does sort of... Oh! Good! Hands up! Aha! There we go, for good measure. Ooh, there you are. There you are, you ugly thing. Aha! Scratch one machine gun. Oh dear. Hurry! And yeah, your eyes are not deceiving you. That's supposed to be the Volga River. And that is, again, true to this battle. Come on! Aha! Indeed. Ugh. But yeah, like I was saying earlier, this was, as ridiculous as it looks, this was a real Soviet machine gun. And you can probably guess why it was nicknamed the record player. It actually was developed in the 20s, and it was a little outdated by the time of World War II, but again, the Soviets were so unprepared for the German attack that for the first half of the war, they really had to rely on what weapons they had. and more importantly, what weapon designs they had. because it would take time to develop new types of weapons, especially when, in response to the German invasion, they literally forcibly moved as many of their factories as they could far behind the lines, as in the main factories, like the essential factories for mass producing stuff. But that took time, and in the meantime, just crank out as many of the existing weapons as we have. Hello, Commander.
However, forward observers radio stopped working. You're no longer receiving firing coordinates. Their last report said that the fascists were massing armor and preparing for receive surprises. The observers are in the train station tower on the other side of the Red Square. Take the replacements with Ring and get over to that tower before the Germans make their next move. Dismissed.
Oh yes, radios. Such temperamental things. And yeah, again, these were real things the Russians used and were actually found to be quite effective. Having rocket launchers on the backs of trucks. Not accurate at all, but if you had enough of them fire in a general area, it actually produced a devastating barrage in an area. They were called Katyusha rockets. The Germans, on the other hand, called them Stalin's organs, and they did have a fear of them, because again, they weren't accurate, but they could be devastating. Especially with how mobile they were, since they were on the backs of trucks. And yes, I know. And this was true to the Battle of Stalingrad. There were units of Katyusha rocket trucks that were practically on the riverbank in Stalingrad, and quite often had to back up practically to where they were almost halfway in the water in order to launch their rockets. It's to get a high enough angle. Oop. Yeah. But yeah, let's get this radio. Wounded soldier? Huh? Yay! Tanya made it! Yay! Tanya made it! Yay! Well, she seemed to be hit a bit bad there, Otter. Maybe she will finally get that vacation. Or at least be sent across the river until they're ready to send her back into the city. But like I said, the real Tanya that this Tanya is based on did survive the war. She actually was part of a group of snipers that were more or less trained in the city of Stalingrad. And I don't know if you ever heard of that war movie Enemy at the Gates, which is about the Battle of Stalingrad. But one of the characters in that is loosely based on the real life Tanya, and played by the lovely Rachel Weisz. But I actually haven't seen that film yet, but it's on my list. Mainly because it is a recommended film in terms of looking at portrayals of the Eastern Front, because especially here in the States, you don't really get much focus on that war because, you know, the Cold War happened right after World War II and the Soviets became our enemies, so... Oh, we had to... So... Alright, Otter. I get it. Well, sadly, Otter, that's actually the last we see of Tanya in this game. Because this game, it's actually not entirely... This game's actually not entirely set during the Soviet campaign. It's one of those older World War II games where you had different theaters of the war showcased to better highlight that this was a world war. But yeah, pretty much from here on out in the Soviet campaign, we're playing Nikolai here. Alright, Dmitri. Ooh. You sneaky sneakies. Come on. Stop it. Stop it. Come on, controller, stop it. There we go. And before you guys know, this isn't an original Xbox controller I'm using. It's technically a compatible controller with it. Oh yeah, and there are ones that I have played where you only follow a certain group of soldiers. In fact, the next Call of Duty game after this one that I played, you only play as a certain group of American soldiers, but that one at least has variety in that you see different campaigns that they went through. But that will have to be some other day. We have to get through this one first. Indeed. Red Square was another area of the battle where there just was such carnage. Oh, Stukas! Okay. Enough of you. Enough of you. Aha. Ooh. Oops, you didn't see anything. Ah, yes, the Stuka. I figured you'd get excited about that, Otter. Funny thing is, by this point in the war, the Stuka had more or less started to show the fact that it had started to become obsolete. In that if it was deployed to any battlefront against an opponent who had anything approaching modern aircraft, then the Stuka was dead meat. Because they were very slow, cumbersome planes compared to fighter aircraft like, say, the Spitfire or Soviet, or more modern Soviet fighters. Ooh. There we go. Aha, we have taken the square. Aha. But yeah, red square here. I might have to double check, but this was roughly in the center of Stalingrad. Yeah, practically every major Soviet city had a red square, which was basically the focal point of like local government and all that. Oh yeah, I mean, they definitely. Oh yeah, when again, you needed the right place to use a Stuka. If you were attacking an unsuspecting enemy who didn't have their planes in the air, or better yet, an enemy who didn't have air cover or available, then the Stuka was very intimidating, especially that siren. It's actually interesting, as the war progressed, some Stukas, well, maybe you already know this, Otter, how some Stukas were modified on the Eastern Front to where they got rid of the bomb bays and instead were given basically anti-tank guns on them as an attempt to try to make them more useful as the war progressed. Ooh, you. And that's another detail I like, that I have seen more recent games get, well, more recent. By more recent I mean after this game set in World War II that featured Stalingrad that got this detail wrong. I appreciate that you do see like Panzer IVs here. Now, realistically, you would have also come across Panzer IIIs and even maybe even some Panzer IIs. But Panzer IVs, by this point in the war, were starting to take their place as the main tank in the Panzer divisions. And by this point in the war, they did have the longer-barreled guns that were effective at engaging tanks. At the start of the war, Panzer IVs had short little howitzers. Oop, ghost tank! Ah! Aha. Oh no, you don't. Well, I'm talking about the... Yeah, actually the Tiger was first deployed a little after this point in the Battle of Stalingrad, but not long after. The Tiger was actually first deployed in December of 1942, and where we're at now is we started in late September 42, and now we're in early October for 42. Ooh, you. Oh, you sneaky sneakies. Charge! But yeah, the Tiger first came in the field in December of 42, like I was saying. Actually, both during the Battle of Stalingrad and in North Africa. And it was quite a shock to both Soviet and Allied soldiers when they first came across it. Ah yes, Ju-88s. Well, and sadly, Otter, you don't get to fly any planes in this game. Duh. And yeah, I know you're like, wait, I thought they said this was where we're supposed to deliver radio. Well, that was another thing about Stalingrad. A lot of buildings that were fought over in Stalingrad, you could have a single building where you would have German soldiers controlling one part of a building and Soviet soldiers controlling another part. And quite often to resupply either fellow German soldiers if you were on the German side or fellow Soviet soldiers if you were on the Soviet side. You quite often had to get through enemy soldiers just to reach your guys. До свидания! Ooh, you. How dare you throw a grenade in my face? Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't think we come across, at least not the initial Tiger tanks. We don't come across those in this game from what I remember. Aha. There we go. Whoop. Oh no, you don't! Oh, there you go. More Junkers for you, Otter. Damn it! Why won't you go down? Yep.
New radio. I'll take it from here. That column of German armors about to move. We need to relay firing coordinates now. New target, 5 point Bravo. Angle 78 degrees, range 100 meters. Confirm. Over.
Yep, indeed. Oh, here we go.
Armored column is a junkyard now. Thank you, Lieutenant. This has been one hell of a day.
No shit. Both of the Tanya missions and those last two missions with Dmitri all were supposed to take place on the same day. Which I do appreciate, because in the real battle, around that time in early October was one of the big pushes the Germans had to try to capture the rest of the city. And now, here we go.
December 24, 1942, Christmas Eve. What began at Stalingrad, we were to finish part of Operation Lisata on the remote airfield near the small village of Tatsinskaya. Our assignment was to approach the airfield from the north via the River Don, cutting off and encircling the stranded German forces Hitler had forbidden to retreat. There at Tatsinskaya, we would surprise the airfield, destroying as many aircraft as we could, cutting off the resupplying of Nazis in Stalingrad proper. This was an assignment I was going to enjoy. But as we were about to spring our attack, the Germans got word we were there and launched a friendly evacuation.
Darn it.
We may have missed yelling surprise, but there was still plenty of party to be had.
Bring out the vodka.
Positions until Stuka! Incoming!
Even though I played this game before and knew that was going to happen, I feel like blaming you still, Otter. You and your damn Stuka fanboyness. I'm kidding. Lucas! Get them out of the air! But yeah, they did leave out an important detail here. Here in between the previous mission and this mission. Yeah, this level might make you a little sad, Otter, because, well, our mission is to destroy as many German planes as we can. But yeah, so that last mission was in early October. This is on Christmas Eve. Very important things happened in between that time. In early November, the Germans launched their last attack in Stalingrad to try to take over the rest of the city. And they almost succeeded. By the end of their attack in early November, the Soviets were only holding on to, no joke, they were only holding on to maybe 6-7% of the city. But by that time, winter had started to set in, and once again, the Germans had not really prepared themselves for the possibility of them still needing to fight in Stalingrad with winter coming. Even though they should have learned their lesson from the previous winter. And just days after this final German offensive in Stalingrad petered out, the Russians launched a massive counteroffensive that succeeded in completely surrounding and cutting off the main German army that was attacking Stalingrad, plus some units from the Romanian armies that were supposed to be guarding the flanks of the Germans attacking Stalingrad. But this entire army, this entire force of German and Romanian soldiers was roughly 250,000 to 300,000, and they were completely cut off. And Hitler, since this was the farthest they had gotten into Russia, Hitler was paranoid that if they retreated from Stalingrad, they would never have the opportunity to attack the city again. So he demanded that the army surrounded stay put. Like, stay put, we'll prepare a counterattack, act to throw the Soviets back. In the meantime, we'll resupply you from the air. The problem was, Hermann Goering, the head of the Luftwaffe, overestimated the Luftwaffe's capabilities in resupplying the surrounded soldiers in Stalingrad. Turns out, they figured that the army would need roughly, I think the number was something like 500-600 tons of supplies a day in order to keep going. On a good day, the airlift that they were attempting could bring in about half that number, and that was on a good day. And of course, there were administrative mix-ups. The priority was supposed to be ammunition, food, and replacement parts, but there were mix-ups. There were planes that landed filled of nothing but spices and all that, and not actual food to eat. Or one time a plane landed and it had nothing in it but contraceptives. Yeah, it's a mid joke about military intelligence here. But yeah, so by this point, the surrounded German and Romanian soldiers in Stalingrad were getting pretty desperate, because they knew that their only hope for survival would be this German counterattack to save them. And just days before the Soviet attack we're taking part of here, that attack was launched. And in this attack, since you were asking earlier, Otter, the Germans did have a few of the first Tiger 1 tanks. And they were used as the spearhead for the attack, and the Germans initially made some ground and did get tantalizingly close to the surrounded German 6th Army that was attacking Stalingrad. But then, at the key moment, the Soviets' resistance not only started to stiffen against this counterattack, but then the Soviets launched another counterattack, which is what this mission is about, where they act in a big sweeping movement towards the main German airfields that were supplying the surrounded army at Stalingrad. And this attack, well, I'll get more into what this attack ended up doing. Oh, shit. Flick. Really, guys? You're literally giving me flack right now? No, you don't. Hey, get out of my way. In this airfield we're attacking in this mission, Teksinska, I believe is how it was pronounced. This actually was the main airfield the Germans were... Hello, Cosmo. Hey, lurking's fine, Cosmo. Oh, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know, you got a lot of fun planned this week. But, although, Cosmo, did you happen to see Tanya earlier? I'm curious. I mean Tanya in this game. Actually, she is kind of cute. Granted, she's in a typical uniform, so not too much in terms of fan serviciness, because this is a game that's trying to be more accurate to the actual history. But she wasn't bad on the eyes, no? Well, I mean, there was, in terms of, you saw that she clearly had some, Cosmo. You saw that she clearly had some, there just was no unbuttoning going on. Yep. But yeah. Indeed. Indeed she was. Oh, and she was badass. She was a badass sniper. And that's perfectly fine, Cosmo. Again, I know how busy you are especially this week. I do appreciate that you stopped on by. Oh, tank! Oh. You're trying to make me cry again. I appreciate it, though. Oh, shit! Being fired at! Okay, you're really trying to fire machine guns at a tank. You are not the brightest German soldier, are you? What? Anything, comrade. But yeah, Cosmo, technically right now I'm playing as a dirty communist. Because, you know, Soviet soldier. Hey, what are you doing? What? Fire! And the rocket's ready, Glenn. Oh, indeed. I may not sound like a good American for saying this, Otter, but hands down I consider it a better tank than the Sherman. And I mean, the Sherman had its perks in terms of reliability, and it was adaptable in terms of modifying it quite easily. But I feel that the T-34 did a better job at being a tank you could make a lot of, but also make the tank formidable on its own. Whereas the Sherman, they mostly focused on a simple design that you could build a lot of. Because the average Sherman really couldn't stand toe-to-toe with a lot of German tanks very long. Of course, I'm driving here the initial T-34, which had the shorter 76mm gun. Oh yeah. Yeah, it was faster, and also it was more maneuverable in rough terrain, because the Sherman had pretty basic tracks for a tank. Aha! There you are. Aha! Now this is one thing I am annoyed by this being an earlier game like this. If this were a later game, we would have been able to just run over the barbed wire, but what can you do? Indeed. Because, yeah, the T-34 had wider tracks than the Sherman by design because, well, the Russian front was very unforgiving in terms of the weather, especially around the winter time. And you needed wide tracks like that in order to better move in ground that was either really frozen stiff or really soggy with mud. Okay. Well, now I'm out of my tank, so I'll be a little careful. Ah! Okay. Oh, no, you don't! Now the one downside, one of the real annoying downsides to this game, Otter, it is one of those earlier games where if you die, you have to start the entire level over again. And in some of the latter levels, that gets really annoying. Aha! There we go, we took out the rockets for you. Oh yeah, indeed, Otter. Granted, there are parts here stateside that that could match Russia in terms of winter weather. I mean, northern Minnesota, especially, I think could double for Russia in a film if you don't want to pay to film in Russia. Or no, wait, that's more southern Minnesota. That's all flat and open, but still. Alright, gotta get back to the tank. Catch a breather. And this next part will have to be my last level here. But I'll be fine doing a little bit of chatting before I end the stream after this level. Well, since you guys have been so patient with me. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh, come on, you... Come on. There we go. Oh dear, Otter. Here comes the level that's gonna make you very sad. The level where we finally raid the airfield proper. Yep, there you go. Yeah, unfortunately so, Otter. But hey, I mean, that is how this actual battle happened. Now, they did take a little bit of poetic license here with all the tanks we're fighting. But it's license I can forgive because there was technically a panzer unit near the Tetsinska airfield when this attack happened. It just was a unit that was in very poor shape. Like half the tanks were out of action from breaking down and all that. Oh dear. Here we go. I'm sorry, Otter, but I gotta do this. I have to do it for the motherland. Oh, it gets even better, Otter. This is just us getting started here. Oh, how dare you? It's almost like they have a problem with me trying to starve them out. Oops. Sorry, Otter, I can't take any chances. I'm sorry, Otter. Yeah. Oh, wait. Yeah, I did seem to forget one, didn't I? Gotta fix that. Well, and hey, what can I say, Otter? This is true to the actual battle. Oh, there you are. I don't think they're very happy about me blowing up their planes. But it could be just me. Well, and I don't know if you saw on Discord earlier today, Otter, but I actually wore this outfit, but with different headgear for some TikToks I was filming footage for. I still have to edit them. Was doing a bit of. I mean, like I was saying on Cosmo's stream last night, I don't like to just chase what's popular or just cause. If it's something I have interest in, then absolutely I will, because hey, gotta hustle. But I basically wore this outfit, but I have an actual pith helmet. I was filming footage for some TikToks I'm going to be posting soon, that are based on the Jungle Cruise ride, because the movie's about to come out, and I'm actually looking forward to that movie. Look at the goddamn rockets! I got the goddamn rockets! There we go. Oh, no you don't, Stuka. Nice try. Ha ha ha. And more. Oh. Now, here's the funny thing, Otter. This part of the game, if I don't progress as much further, actually keeps looping. Like, if I start on the airfield here, but I don't stop, if I start here, but don't continue, these planes will just keep spawning. Indeed it is. No, you don't. I know Otter wants you to get away, but I can't let you get away. Damn you! Okay. Ha ha ha! There we go. See what I mean, Otter? If I don't continue down the airfield to continue the mission, these planes will keep looping. I'm wondering if I should just do a few more or spare you. There you go. Damn rocketers. Ooh, there you are. Sneaky little shit. Yeah, like I said, at a certain point, oh, don't worry, Otter. It'll end soon. It just loops if I keep going. Or if I don't keep going, I should say. Oh. Ow. Damn it, Honor. You jinxed me. Well, like I said, now I have to start the level again. Which means we have to blow up the planes again. Oh well. Okay, this time I'll actually keep going down the airfield and not just have endless plane parade. Because like I said, once you get down towards the end of the airfield, they stop spawning. Yeah. Kind of your purgatory, isn't it? I don't know if Cosmo's still lurking, but if she is, she's probably getting a kick out of you crying over all these German planes getting knocked down. But yeah, no joke, Otter. The actual Panzer unit that was deployed near this airfield in real life, a lot of the tanks, yes, were broken down because of the weather. But there were also a fair number of them that were broken down because, no joke, small critters like mice and shit had gotten inside of them and chewed up all their wiring. And they were short on replacement wiring. True story. So see, even Soviet mice are part of the war effort. Yeah, Soviet mice. Basically Fievel's badass relatives who decided to tough it out and stay in Russia. Damn rockets. Ooh, that was a good shot. Look at that. Took the tail right off. Well, and Otter being the aviation guy that you are, I don't have to tell you that you take out the tail, the plane's pretty much fucked. Although I just realized, I don't know if you got that reference just now, Otter, me joking about Soviet mice being the hardcore relatives of Fievel and all that. Have you ever seen An American Tail? I know. Bit random, I know, but... I actually only recently saw that film for the first time. I think it was last year. And it was a good film. I wouldn't say it was a great film. In terms of the other animated films that the guys behind it made, because it was made by the same people who did Land Before Time and All Dogs Go to Heaven and Secret of NIMH, I honestly thought that American Tail was good, but not... Oh, an American Tail, it's an 80s animated film. It is a sweet film. It's a good, sweet film. It's about this immigrant mouse family. It's set in the early 1900s. This immigrant mouse family from presumably Russia, called the Mousekewitz family. They have had enough of persecution in Russia, so they decide to immigrate to America. But mishap happens on the voyage to America. A terrible storm happens, and the youngest member of the family, the main character, Fievel, who's a cute little mouse character and all that, he washes overboard, and they're afraid that he died and broken by it. He survives though, and ends up washing ashore on Ellis Island. And basically the whole story is a saga of him trying to find his family, since he knows his family made it to New York and had immigrated there. But of course New York's a huge place. And it's definitely one of those animated films that's all about giving you the feels. Especially the ending. The ending is genuinely one of those happy endings that makes you cry. It's one of those old school animated films where you have the happy ending where you're practically crying because it's such a sweet ending. I'm even tearing up thinking about it. There we go. Yeah. But yeah, have you ever seen, for instance, Land Before Time, or All Dogs Go to Heaven, or Secret of NIMH? Because those films were made by the same people who made An American Tail. Basically, same animation studio. I need to get rid of this rocket. Stop. It's actually funny though. An American Tail came out actually a year that was actually a big year for animated movies with mice, because it was the same year that The Great Mouse Detective came out. Now, while I do like An American Tail and it is a sweet film, I do prefer Great Mouse Detective. That film I absolutely adore. Well, and yeah, to each their own. I mean, granted, there are also animated sci-fis, and no, not just animes and all that. I mean, I don't know if you ever saw that Disney Atlantis movie. That one was basically a sci-fi adventure film. Yeah, here you go, Otter. When I reach far enough to where you can see those planes taxiing, you stop getting an endless parade of planes on this runway. Panzer. Damn it. There we go. Lost track of fit. Okay. Alright, no more distractions. Just speed through this. Yeah, it does. I swear, I did not do that on purpose, Otter. I genuinely was trying to get through that part. I didn't mean to put you through more of this. Like I said, it does get a little annoying that this is one of those games where, oh, you died, back to the start of the level. Yeah. No, Otter. Seriously, I was genuinely trying to get through it that time. I just got carried away talking about cute mice movies. Okay. Okay, this is a tough hand, sir. There we go. Took more than 2 shots that time. Okay, I'm just gonna try to run past these guys. Now I will be honest, Otter, if Cap were here, I would pause to see if he could translate the intercom that you heard as you're raiding it, like the alert intercom, to see if it was actual German you're hearing or if it's just gibberish, since Cap does actually know German. Yeah, see this intercom right here? If Cap were here, I would ask him if he could have translated it, and... Ooh, little. Yeah, the only thing I can make out in that intercom thing that you heard blaring on the sirens just now is Achtung, Achtung, because that just means attention, attention. Okay. No jokes this time. Time to take out all these rockets. Ooh, you sneaky, sneaky. if I don't go straight down the runway, I won't blow up this time. Okay, I guess I can't keep going. Okay, I see you, tank. Oh, no joke, Otter. Funniest thing. Oh. God damn it. God damn it. Like I said, there are parts to this game that can be very frustrating. Indeed. The sad thing is, Otter, clearing the runway isn't even the end of this level. Well, I do have to dismount and get out of the tank to end this level because we need to capture their control tower. And of course the road leading to it's all blocked up. But think about it this way, Otter. It'd be even more torturous for you if I had gone for like normal or even hard mode here. Okay. Wilson. Okay. Hurry up and blow up the tanks and planes. There we go. Beautiful. Okay, here we go. Okay, I didn't mean to take out our tank too. What the hell? No joke, Otter. Before tonight, usually the airfield doesn't cause me to die so much. It's just something about... There's something about tonight. Oh. Premature firing there. At least this time I got the Stukas that were trying to bomb me. Well, not anymore. Indeed. Now there was one drawback to these early Now one of the drawbacks that these earlier T-34s had, well maybe you do notice already, Otter, but the turrets they had were rather small, and that resulted in the fact that in early model T-34s, the commander also had to be the gunner, and that was not very conducive to effectively reacting to multiple threats to a tank appearing on a battlefield. Being at from all sides, apparently. Oh. There we go. Let's sit down there. Finally, some progress. I'm blowing up these goddamn planes. Nice try. Okay. We truly have seized the airfield, it looks like. Oh, what's this? Really, you're gonna try to get that thing out while we're already across the airfield? Good luck with that. No, I haven't. I actually haven't seen hardly any Russian films myself. I mean, you. How dare you? Just for that. Yeah. But yeah, I haven't seen that film. But I have seen a tank-centric film. You may have heard of it, Fury with Brad Pitt. I actually really like that film. It's a little Hollywood, yes, in terms of how it presents, especially in that climactic battle with them versus the whole platoon of SS soldiers. I mean, realistically, a single Sherman probably would not have held out that long against that many German soldiers, especially ones that had like anti-tank weapons with them and all that. But it was a fun movie. Okay. Now here comes the part that I usually die a lot in this level. Hopefully this time I get lucky and that doesn't happen. Shit. Indeed. Indeed, find our comrades. Okay. See, and here's the big reason why I almost always die in this part. This level is pretty stingy on the health packs. I mean, they don't say that in this Call of Duty game, but I do know that that was like the big Russian chant when they would charge. That was basically their version of charge. Ura! Oh yeah, and there's a reason why I was prone here. Yep, that's why. Damn it. There we go. Stop shooting me! Shoot! Oh, here we go. Haha! How you like me now? Haha! Come on, comrades. I know that was a little overkill, Otter, I know. Okay, we're almost done. Haha. Now to get rid of the last guy here. Haha. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Now, I have to pause here because it's gonna kind of rush through explaining things once this is over, because this is actually the last level in the Stalingrad campaign in this game. So basically, like I was saying earlier, the Soviets launched this counterattack the same time the Germans are launching their counterattack to try to relieve the soldiers trapped at Stalingrad. And they succeed in overrunning all these airfields. And they also are so successful in this attack that they actually are poised to cut off all of the Axis soldiers in southern Russia. And so the decision is made from the German High Command: withdraw all of our soldiers from southern Russia before they get cut off. And that pretty much left the Germans and the few Romanian soldiers with them basically on their own with no hope pretty much. And again, this all happened right on Christmas. So talk about having a really shitty Christmas. Because it wasn't long after these airfields were overrun that the Germans in Stalingrad received word, yeah, help's not coming. We're on our own. And basically it was understood that, basically we've been abandoned. They pretty much expect us to either starve or death or die fighting, rather than surrender. And it was quite a traumatizing experience for a lot of the German soldiers in Stalingrad, because a lot of them were true believers in the Führer and all that, and were confident that the Führer would never abandon them. And now they find out, yes, he would. Yeah. Here we go.
Look. Let's get back to headquarters.
Indeed.
By controlling North Africa, the Axis powers have a better chance of holding the Mediterranean.
Well, I'll have to exit out of that part
His army is ill prepared
and switch over to here, because that's, like I said, it doesn't really properly set up the ending of the Battle of Stalingrad until later. But yeah, after that, they're surrounded, and they pretty much have no hope of rescue. And literally, it only took about a month later for the Russians decide to launch an attack against all the surrounded soldiers in Stalingrad who are still alive. And eventually, on January 31st, they surrender. The Germans and the few Romanians with them surrender. Now, I mentioned before, about 250 to 300,000 of them had been encircled in November. By the time they surrendered, only about 90,000 of them were still alive. And of those 90,000, only about 6,000 would survive Soviet gulags, because the Soviets decided to make an example of the soldiers they captured at Stalingrad and basically decreed, you are never going to see your home again until this city that you destroyed around you is rebuilt. And that didn't happen until over a decade after the battle ended. But it was a momentous victory for the Red Army, and really the decisive turning point of the war. Because again, this is the farthest the Germans had gotten in the Soviet Union. This is the Germans at the peak of their power in the war. And for the first time, they lost an entire army. And losing an entire army, and not only did they lose an entire army, but all of the material that they lost in that battle really couldn't be replaced. The Germans would try to attack again the next summer at Kursk, but the writing was on the wall. Basically, the tide had begun to turn against the Germans, and now the Soviets and later the Western Allies were in the ascendancy. And that battle, the Battle of Stalingrad, only lasted about 6 months. In those 6 months, no joke, over 2 million people were killed, wounded, captured, or just went missing. And even more shocking, roughly 1.1 million of those casualties were people who died in it. In just 6 months. In just 6 months at Stalingrad, more people died than Britain, France, and the United States lost in the entire war. But again, it was the turning point of the war. Okay, and on that cheery note, okay, we're done playing soldiers for now. Let's try to do some let's try to have some nice little happy chat stuff before I turn in for the evening. Well, I know we have the excitement with Cosmos Stream going on. Any of you guys have anything in particular you're looking forward to this week other than that? Indeed. Yeah. Well, now I'm feeling guilty with the whole somber history talk. Now I'm feeling like doing something silly with... Oh, that's interesting, Haley. My mom actually has a set herself. Well, yeah, there's that, of course, Otter. And, well, more power to you. I mean, really, like I said on last night's stream, I'll try to make it for the con shenanigans on Friday. Oops. Was I supposed to say that? Ah, never mind. She outed herself. It's in the clips. Whatever. I'll try to make it for the fun shenanigans that'll happen that day, but like I said, on Friday I do have to spend most of the day helping my sister move to her new place, and that's going to be some fun. And that's going to be some fun given the whole recovering from pulling a diaphragm. But hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. But other than that, I am really looking forward to Thursday night. Mainly because Thursday night I'm planning on seeing Jungle Cruise. Yeah, I might make it to her stream when it first starts on Saturday, since she said she was going to do it around noon. But I won't be able to be there for long is the problem, because Saturday is one of my longer days at work in terms of hours I usually get. Which, go figure, I work at a grocery store. Of course Saturday would be one of the days I rarely get off. It's almost like everyone else doesn't work on the weekend. Yeah, exactly, Haley. It does look good. What I really like is that it really makes me think of Indiana Jones. Yeah. Oh yeah, that ride is charming. It is. And I assume you heard that they did update it recently in Disneyland and are currently updating it in Disney World. And it's an update that was needed. I mean, the whole headhunter tribe attacking your part, that part has not aged well at all. But yeah, like I was saying earlier, I did post it on TikTok earlier, but I was wearing this outfit with my PIF helmet before work today to film some footage for some TikToks I'm doing based on the ride, and specifically the otter. I don't know if you remember how in the queue for the line you hear like the radio guy who's like giving announcements for various things on the Jungle Cruise trail, plus some nice little cheesy puns, of course, because it's the Jungle Cruise. But I actually was filming some TikTok footage where I'm being that guy on the radio. Yep, Skipper Albert Awol, the voice of the jungle, here on the DBC. And it's actually really exciting for me because it's actually the first time I'm using my blue screen that I use for my YouTube videos in an actual TikTok. And for the most part, the effect I have going on with it looks good. I have to do a little more tweaking to it, but I can't wait to finally post them. I am envious, Otter, because I've been to Orlando a few times, but I've never been to Anaheim. And Anaheim has both the mystique because of all the history there, and there's stuff that they only do in Anaheim. Like, for instance, sadly in Florida, Otter, they don't do the holiday overlay with this. Yes, the mansion. Yep. And this is one of the main reasons I want to visit Disneyland someday if I can, because I want to see the Haunted Mansion holiday with my own eyes at some point. You know, that whole Nightmare Before Christmas thing they do around the fall and winter time. And that would be neat. Plus, one of the things they have in this one that they don't have in Florida, they still have up during the holiday overlay, which is the Hatbox Ghost. And that is really neat because I'm a bit of a nerd on theme park history. Oh, don't get me started, Otter. Making me want to channel my inner Thurl Ravenscroft. Now don't close your eyes and don't try too hard. Yep. But yeah, there's that. I also would really love to do the Indiana Jones ride that's at Disneyland someday, because they don't have that in Florida either. And that ride, I've seen so many videos of that ride, and that ride looks amazing. Yep. Well, hey, I have a lower pitch to my voice, so Grim Grinning Ghost fits my pipes very well. It's actually funny I mentioned the Hatbox Ghost because I do have some tentative ideas and yeah. I mean, I have done a ride that's practically the same type of ride as the Indy ride. Oh, hello. Oh, hello there. Hatred Disney Fuel. Welcome to the stream. Sadly, the sad thing is, I am a huge Back to the Future fan. I never got to ride that ride. The first time I ever got to go to Universal Orlando. Oh, it's fine. And it's a good question you ask, because Universal Orlando, the first time I got to go there was 2010, and that was 3 years after they closed Back to the Future the ride, so I never got to ride it. And I am so sad I never got to, because that is my favorite film series. No joke, it's my favorite film series. I mean, it's why I go by DocFlux88 on this site. Now I'm starting to choke up. But I never got to ride it, so I did the next best thing. I did a few TikToks not too long ago of me as Doc in the ride. I look nothing like Christopher Lloyd, but I can do the voice! Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. Fine with the question. Because it was a good question. Now, I like to think I somewhat balance out the fact I never got to ride Back to the Future with the fact that I did get to ride the Jaws ride. And I really enjoyed that ride. It's basically, I don't know if you ever rode it, Otter, because it was only in Florida. But it was basically Jungle Cruise, but what if Jaws attacked you throughout it? Yeah, it was fun. I get why they got rid of it, though. It did take up a lot of space, and unfortunately, Universal Orlando doesn't have thousands upon thousands of acres to build stuff on the way Disney World does. So there was that, and the ride was a little dated. It was still a fun ride, though. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, Hatred. I actually got to ride it 3 times when I went to Universal in 2010, which is actually very fortuitous because when I went to Universal that first time, that was just under 2 years before they closed the Jaws ride. So I was very lucky that I got to ride it 3 times. And the second ride was actually the best ride because I was, if you remember the ride very much, I was in the perfect seating. I was on the right side of the boat, right in the center. So pretty much from where the camera is to where I am, that's how close that shark animatronic got to me during the finale where he flat out attacks you. And that was fun. My grandma was having none of it, but I was having fun. Yeah. But yeah, Otter, it was... Oh yeah, you could easily YouTube the Jaws ride, Otter, and you'll see it definitely had... You can definitely tell it had some inspiration from Jungle Cruise. Just a little more serious and all that because, you know, giant shark trying to kill you. Yeah. But yeah, I do. But yeah, I have been back to Universal since that first trip, and I have gotten to do all the Harry Potter stuff, and I really love that stuff. That's a... Oh, indeed, a big bad shark. It's actually really fascinating, the story behind that ride too, Otter. They actually built a version of the Jaws ride that opened with the initial Universal Orlando Park, and that ride only operated for about 2 months and then closed and stayed closed for about 3 years because it did not work at all. It kept breaking down. A lot of the effects would malfunction. And it was a mess, and so much so that there's actually an interesting little thing about it from this one YouTuber. I don't know if either you or Hatred have heard of him, called Defunctland, but he did one of his earlier ones. But the guy on there, one of his earlier videos was on the Jaws ride, and it was pretty interesting. And it's a nice little summary of the ride's history. But yeah, they basically built an initial version of the ride. It kept breaking down. It didn't work, so they closed it within months. And Universal tried suing the people who made the original ride. But the people who made the original ride were like, hey, it's not our fault the ride kept breaking down. You basically forced us into a crunch timeline and didn't give us the time and money we needed to work out the kinks before the park opened. But eventually Universal decided we need to just flat out rebuild this ride. And that's what they pretty much did. Almost the entirety of the original ride was demolished. Only a couple things were left in, and the ride got a completely different vibe about it. I mean, it still had the same basic idea of the original version of the ride, but it had almost an entirely different sequence of events in it. It really only the opening in third of the ride stayed somewhat intact. But yeah. But yeah, where the whole Diagon Alley area for Harry Potter is now, that all was the Jaws ride. Yeah, it took up a large amount of space. And like I said, it was starting to show its age when I did ride it. It was still a lot of fun, but it was definitely a little dated and sad. And it unfortunately had that ultimate kiss of death for a theme park ride. It was a very high cost ride to maintain, and by the time I was riding it, and this was during peak summer time, the line was never that long for it, and that is the kiss of death for a theme park ride. Yes, Hatred. I mean, that channel, I do like that channel. I mean, it's neither here nor there, but there were some other park tubers I used to like, but I had a really bad experience with one particular one, and that did not end well. Basically, I mean, I did do a whole post on my Insta about it. More or less the gist is I was replying to an older video of his where he was talking about the changes to Pirates of the Caribbean, and more or less the part near the end of the video where he's talking about how using the whole "it's just media" argument, and honestly at this point I don't really believe that in terms of media because, well, people can be very impressionable when it comes to media depictions and all that. And he took severe umbrage with me talking about my love of the Star Wars sequel trilogy and how I became very disillusioned with the way the MCU turned out. And basically, he tried to call me out like, well, what was wrong? Well, what do you mean with Star Wars? And what do you mean about the MCU? And I, in detail, explained why I did still like the Star Wars sequel trilogy despite its flaws and why I don't like the MCU anymore. And rather than accept my opinion, he went on the attack. He just kept digging at me and basically going like, oh, you're just completely full of shit in your arguments and all that. You're just delusional. I don't get how you could have such a feeling about these films. And that was not a very pleasant experience. It's never fun when someone you like to watch turns out to be one of those assholes who's very much like, oh, if you disagree with me, then fuck you. But Defunctland I still watch because, to his credit, the guy who does that, he doesn't get super entitled to views on certain things and all that. I mean, he is critical of like IP-based stuff being more prevalent in theme parks, especially Disney now. But I do appreciate that he's not one of those who outright goes out and go like, oh, if you don't like what I like, then screw you. I do appreciate that. You probably know the guy was talking about just now, Hatred, but I don't want to mention who he was because, honestly, he doesn't deserve the attention, and people who act toxic like that should just be ignored. Damn it, I just brought everyone down again. I didn't mean to do that, guys. Okay, Haley, are you still here? You were mentioning how Jungle Cruise looks good, and I was talking about how, yes, I really want to see it because it has a very Indiana Jones-esque vibe to it. And it's like, yeah, it feels like Indiana Jones with a little bit of the first Pirates of the Caribbean sprinkled in. Since there's some spooky supernatural thing going on. And I am really looking forward to that movie. I do like Dwayne Johnson quite a bit. And I really like Emily Blunt. Granted, both have been in their fair share of stinkers, but I love them both as actors. And also as people. Plus, it'll be nice for me to see a Disney action film with Emily Blunt in it, because I don't know how many of you know this, but she was supposed to be Black Widow when Iron Man 2 was getting ready to start filming. She was Favreau's first choice. She wanted to do it, but 20th Century Fox wouldn't let her out of contract to do that awful Gulliver's Travels movie with Jack Black. And that, with my disillusionment with that particular franchise, I do find myself wondering, in terms of like alternate timelines and all that, what sort of butterfly effect would have happened if she had gotten to play Black Widow. I mean, if you like the way Marvel turned out, that's fine, you do you. I just have my own reasons why I really ended up becoming very disillusioned with it. Damn it. Made everyone sad again. Damn it, I don't want to end things on a sad note. Does anyone have any fun things to share that happened, like, either this past weekend or today or something? I don't want to make everyone sad and bummed out at the end of this. Besides, it's too late in the night to be sad. Okay. Well, I'm glad I'm glad to hear it, Otter. I mean, okay, that's good. Oh, and by the way, Otter, this is a pop vinyl thing that I got. It actually came with another figure I still have back there. It's of Haunted Mansion Butler. And that was pretty cool. Now, if only they could make one of the Disney World Haunted Mansion, because that would be perfect, because the Disney World one is the one I'm familiar with. And it is the one I am kind of more partial to, not only because it's the one I've been to, but it does have some things that the Disneyland one doesn't. Of course, the Disneyland one also has some things the Disney World one doesn't, but that's neither here nor there. Oh, yeah. Well, both mansions are open for business again, just with some differences because of guidelines and all that. Honestly, it's actually interesting how they're doing it. In Disneyland, I was surprised when Disneyland reopened its mansion with all these guidelines and all that, because I don't know if you're probably aware of this. The stretching room in Disneyland is an actual elevator you have to take in order to get to the lower level that you board the ride on. It's just a very well-themed elevator. I was wondering how they were going to make that work with restrictions about like distancing and all that. Apparently what they've done is select groups get to still be in the stretching room, but a lot of people instead have to use what was previously a stairway that cast members used to get in between the foyer and the lower level, and they didn't do the best job trying to theme it. They just threw up a few paintings and painted all the walls black, and it's rather disappointing, sadly, but hey, what are you gonna do with real-world problems like COVID and all that? Now, Disney World, on the other hand, sadly, Disney World, you pretty much completely skip the stretching room in Disney World, because since it's on the same level that you board the ride on, and it's not an elevator, in Disney World, it's not an elevator. Literally, you're on the same level that you board the ride on, and rather than lowering in order to board the ride, it's the walls and ceiling that move upward in the stretching room in Disney World. And so in order to make that work in Disney World, basically you just skip the stretching room, and that they just have it permanently stretched out for now. Which is a bit of a shame, because that is one of the more fun parts of the attraction. Especially when you get to experience it at night, particularly during the parades. I feel like that's the best time to do the Haunted Mansion, is during one of the big parades, because the line's not that big, so you can go in and it actually feels semi-abandoned, so you get a better feeling of, ooh, I'm in this spooky haunted house, all that. Yeah, but someday that won't be the case anymore. Gotta keep hoping. I mean, heck, by the time I'll be able to go back to Disney Park and all that, and hopefully all this stuff will just be a bad memory. But yeah, I do want to go back there someday. I especially because I want to experience Galaxy's Edge. That looks amazing. Especially since, well... Oh, indeed. Indeed. Well, because, you know, a haunted house has to be cold inside. That actually reminds me, Otter. Fun fact, the Orlando mansion was actually completed 6 months before the rest of Magic Kingdom. Because when they were built, the Disneyland one opened in '69, and because they knew the Magic Kingdom one was being built at that time and was scheduled to open in '71, as they were building the Disneyland one, they basically just made copies of everything they built for Disneyland and just put it in storage until it was ready to be installed in Disney World. So 6 months before Magic Kingdom opened, the mansion was all completed, and it was actually a very popular spot for employees to go during their breaks in order to escape the hot Florida sun. Because with it being fully completed, that meant all the air conditioning too. But yeah, Galaxy's Edge, I really want to do that someday because, in large part because, well, I am a sequel trilogy fan. I mean, it had its flaws, but I do love it. And that land is very much tied to that series, especially the marquee attraction there, Rise of the Resistance. That ride looks amazing from what I've seen online. And it really looks like, okay, Disney, you've done it. You finally found your answer to the Wizarding World in Universal. I don't know what made you think you had that answer with Avatar, but you have it with Star Wars. Yeah. Well, and Disneyland, another reason I'd like to go to Disneyland someday is that I've only ridden the Florida version of Pirates, and the Florida version of Pirates is sadly a Cliff Notes version of the California one. You don't get much of the setup to the ride in California, where you have the whole magic of, you're going through a bayou and then magically you go through some spooky caves with the skeletons and then you travel back in time. Really, in Florida, you just go past a couple spooky caves, one brief waterfall instead of two, and then you're just in the main part of the ride with the town being attacked. And there's no whimsical going back up the waterfall to travel back to the present. Pretty much not long after the jail scene, you just unload. It's a very anticlimactic version of the Pirates ride, to be perfectly honest. And that was a case of, interestingly enough, they weren't planning on building a Pirates ride in Florida initially because they reasoned, well, the real Caribbean's right there. Nobody wants to see a fake Disney version of the Caribbean. But the problem was, nationwide broadcasting of the Disneyland show, showing the Disneyland Pirates ride, made a lot of people really love the idea of it. And so when Disneyland opened Disney World opened without a Pirates of the Caribbean ride, people complained and swarmed Disney with a bunch of hate mail. And the people in charge of Disney at the time decided, rather than do it properly, let's just do it as quickly as we can, which meant if we have to trim out huge parts of the ride in California, so be it. It'll just mean we have the ride in Disney World quicker. What can you do? Yeah. And, well, and there is one thing that's exclusive to Disney World right now that Disneyland is about to get. There's a certain ride that's in the Studios Park in... Yeah, pretty much, Otter. It basically has no beginning and no end. It's just the middle of going through the town. Yeah. It's actually interesting. What was supposed to be in Florida instead of a Pirates ride, they were going to do a Pirate style ride but Western themed. But that didn't happen because the people in charge were like, hey, people are hating us because there's no Pirates ride. Screw this Western ride. We'll just build a new Pirates ride, and maybe in the future we'll do the Western ride. But at the same time, it's a ride that would have ended up being heavily altered over the years because, well, it was a ride made by older Imagineers who were nearing retirement, or designed by certain Imagineers who were nearing retirement by the time of the 70s, and had very dated sensibilities in terms of how to depict, say, Native Americans and stuff like that. Because I've seen concept art of this Western ride. It would not have aged well. But that ride did have some legacy. It was going to be part of a whole Western-themed complex that was an extension of Frontierland, which would also include a runaway mine train roller coaster, and that became Big Thunder Mountain. Yeah. And you know, it's actually funny, Otter, the whole going down the waterfalls in Pirates, to begin with, that was like the stretching room in the Haunted Mansion, in that those things were designed not so much for frills, but for operational necessity, because you needed to transport the boats underneath the park railway in order to get to the main building where the rest of the ride was. They just found a way to make it thrilling. Yeah. Oh yeah, and in Florida they don't have that fun right before you go up the waterfall of going in the arsenal and seeing all the drunken pirates firing their guns and going, okay, they're all about to blow themselves up. They don't have that, sadly. Instead, you just briefly go by a small treasure room, which used to have a couple of pirates being all hooping and hollering, but now it's just Jack Sparrow being all like, yes, I have the treasure, yo ho, the pirate's life for me. And, although that scene that's on you going back up the waterfall in Disneyland, that's the last scene you go on before you just unload. There's no, transition from that scene to unloading. You just see that scene and then, oh, time to get off the boat now. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And I have seen photos of what they used to do in that ride and all that. And the Jack Sparrow thing is neat, but I do like what they used to have in the going up the waterfall before they put Jack in there, where it's the pirates trying desperately to drag that giant satchel full of treasure and not really succeeding. I mean, that was a funny little visual to see in terms of old footage and all that. But yeah, yeah, Pirates of the Caribbean, mate. Yeah. And yeah. But yeah, like I was saying earlier about how there's something in Disney World that's about to be in Disneyland. In fact, they just started building it in Disneyland. Disney World's Studios Park, when they replaced their Great Movie Ride with a Mickey and Minnie themed ride. That ride, they're just starting to build in Disneyland, and it's going to be the new centerpiece of Toontown. They're basically trying to reinvigorate Toontown after more or less leaving it in neglect in the past decade or so. And I've seen footage of that ride in Florida, and yeah, it's not a thrill ride and all that, but it is both zany and adorable. And yes, it's a Mickey and Minnie ride, but it's specific to Mickey from those recent shorts where he's a little crazy. So it's not quite boring mascot Mickey. Yeah. Yeah, well, they gotta do something with all that money they made from Star Wars and Marvel other than just placating Marvel and Star Wars fans. Nah. Well, and it's not a high priority ride for a lot of people, but another reason I'd like to do Disneyland someday is it'd be nice to do the Roger Rabbit ride because I do love Roger Rabbit, and it's nice that there's at least some presence of Roger Rabbit in Disney parks, because originally there was going to be many Roger Rabbit attractions in the parks, but then Steven Spielberg and Michael Eisner had an ugly falling out over, well, who actually owns the rights to Roger Rabbit, and that pretty much put the kibosh on a lot of the planned Roger Rabbit stuff, including rides, and they even were planning on doing another Roger Rabbit, which would have been set during World War II, and and hearing about that sounded like it would have been amazing. But yeah, oh geez, look at the time. Well, sadly, I gotta turn in. I really do appreciate that all you guys stopped by. It actually really does comfort me that I do have some people who actually care about hearing me rambling about stuff. Indeed, Otter, indeed. I mean, I don't have to go until 3:30 tomorrow, but I work till 10 tomorrow, so tomorrow's going to be a long shift. I mean, yeah, 6.5 hours may not seem that long, but where I work, I only get 2 15-minute breaks unless I work 7 hours or more. Well, I'm glad, Otter, I'm glad. I'm glad you did. But yeah, I hope you all have a nice time. I'll see if I can make it on Thursday night to, if Cosmo either does movie night as usual or does an actual stream. But I'll probably be a little late because, again, I'm seeing Jungle Cruise. And I'll try to make it Friday if I can. But regardless, I'll see you guys next time. I hope you all have a good night.